Welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to be spinning around the Stag. It's been a long time waiting. I've freed off the back drums off camera, so hopefully we shouldn't have too much trouble. We might need to pump the tyres up a little bit. Once it's spun round, we'll then need to change the braces over to the side. I've got a new door for that side, so we need to get that fit in and shut them nice and square before we start the cuts, and hopefully nothing else goes wrong. Since the last episode, I've also been stripping the back end down here, and yeah, this is a real rusty mess. It did have a load of filler all over it. It looks like it's had like a historic crash here at some point, because if you look, this top edge is really badly warped absolutely everywhere. The eagle-eyed amongst you may also realise that I've skipped ahead a bit with the back end. Now, I did start making a video on it, but then I decided I didn't really like the quality of the video and what I was doing. So here's a few clips for the quick update. I basically came to the conclusion that I needed to buy a new rear valance. I currently don't have one, and with the expenditure of the Porsche 944 and my MX-5 and my MGB, I felt like I should wait a little bit before ordering any more bits. Obviously, those of you that watch my videos will know that I've got a massive box of parts for the rest of the car, so me waiting a while to buy the rear valance shouldn't really cause any issues really. I honestly thought this was probably the only solid panel on the car other than the bonnet. How wrong was I? So it looks like it's just been skimmed with filler and it's just rusted away behind it. Like someone's not panel wiped it down properly. But yeah, right, anyway, get this thing dragged out. Right, come on, keep going. Into the cold light of day we come. Fine. Fine. Fine, over the bubble wrap nicely. This car looks shocking when in the cold light of day. Is that far enough out? As you may be surprised to see, we dragged the car out instead of driving it out. Now the reason for this is we've taken the fuel tank out, and with all the welding that's going on, I really didn't want to rig up a temporary tank of fuel. So backwards and forwards we rolled it, and then we just edged it over to the wall with the jack. Not ideal really. I don't know if I mentioned before, but I think it's been in a crash at some point. It'll be very hard to see on the video, but it's just very thick all around here. The actual Stag badge itself doesn't really mount in properly. It just sits really weird, like it has a lot of filler around it. Don't even know if that makes sense, but hopefully it does. Give it a bit of a scrape and see what's under it. And yeah, lots of filler around here, lots of warping. It's definitely had a knock here before. After finding this, I decided to leave it for a bit and carry on with the rest of the work. Obviously it'll need straightening out, but I thought that's better to do when I've actually cut the old rear quarter off. Obviously being the off side of the car, it definitely gets less of a beating than the other side. You know, on the near side, you tend to get all the grit from the roads, all the salt, absolutely battering it. Obviously it needs new sills, but we can deal with all that. Right, so before we start welding or replacing the sills, I need the door braced up. To make sure that there's no movement once the door's braced up, I need my door on the car. So I started fitting my new to me second-hand door. When I started fitting it to the car, I then realised that I'd accidentally bought a Mark 1 door. Now I didn't think it'd be that much of an issue, but those of you that know Stags will know that it's a completely different lock mechanism. So I had to cut off the old end plate off my old door and then weld it onto my new door. Unfortunately I forgot to press record on any of that, God knows why. But here's me fitting my Mark 2 door lock to my Mark 1 door. Those of you that don't know, the difference between the Mark 1 door and the Mark 2 door is that the Mark 1 door sits flat and the Mark 2 lock sort of sits a little bit recessed. So it's obviously taken quite a bit of welding. I've just had to do a load more cutting because obviously you just saw it didn't shut. Just had to move the lock up a little bit. If we look now, it's absolutely spot on. Alright, after that palaver, guess I'm going to cut the braces off the other side and get those welded into place. I've now cut off the braces from the other side. I'm now going to weld them on this side, so obviously I want it to be nice and secure. Definitely seems to be less rust on the other side. Just as much filler there. Once we got this on, I can then tidy my garage, because it's an absolute mess in here. Now that the brace is in, I can now get the car in the air. If you watch carefully, you'll see that I forgot to put the handbrake on and the car rolled into the bloody bench. So back with the van, it gets towed before I actually put the handbrake on and I can actually get the car in the air properly again. As we can quite easily see here with my Insta360 camera, it's not actually that bad. The seam between the inner and outer sill is still there, and the outriggers don't look that bad, although I do have replacements for these. You can actually also see that there's a patch to the rear floor pan as well. Looks like someone's put half of a new one in. But yeah, it's basically going to be the same as the other side. New sills, new floors, and new outriggers. Just a little bit of delamination there, but the main structure of the inner sill seems fairly reasonable. Obviously it's all going to need to be cut back and repaired. But one interesting thing I've found is the sill drains here. I think there's 4 of them. All little holes to help the rainwater drain through. Now in each and every single one of them, some idiot has put a grommet in there. Yeah, rubber grommets are supposed to go in things like the floor pans to stop your carpets getting wet, but you do not put them in your sill drains. Yeah, if you've put at home, if you've put them in your sill drains, please take them out. You're just letting your sills fill it with water and then obviously rot out. It's not drooped. Because it shuts square, we can now start cutting the car apart. I started on the wings with the trusty reciprocating saw, makes good light work of it and doesn't use 200 angle grinding discs. Obviously we had to use discs here and there, but I'm trying to keep them to a minimum now. Every time I go get them, they seem to be more expensive. Once cut, I peeled it off really carefully. If we look there on the camera, someone's had this off before. I don't know why they'd have shocked it there. On close inspection of the lip, it appears to have had a new arch lip put in. You can see the rustiness there. That's the two skins that are sort of peeling away from each other. It's basically had a new panel put in, no joggling there whatsoever. It's just been laid straight over the old panel. And then weirdly, it's had this weird cut going along the wing. Not sure why they'd want to take this side off, but yeah, comment down below if you'd know why they'd take this off other than it's had a crash. But saying that, the front end seems straight and square, other than being very rusty. Straight a bit anyway. The other one wasn't like that at all.
They'd done a long while ago, that one, wasn't it?
Yeah, rusty. Much like the other side, there's plenty of surface rust here, but overall it's pretty solid. Actually, the trumpet up here is going to need a little bit of welding from the looks of it. Don't like the other side. It's not quite as solid, but it's not horrendous. The rust converter on here and a little bit of oil from the top trumpet. This should be ready to go. Nothing too disastrous. Now that's all inspected, I let my dad loose with the angle grinder. Even though it's all braced up, it's always a nerve-wracking part. Are my welds good enough on the brace? Is the car gonna fall in half? Who knows? Not much strength left in that panel anyway, is there? You'll also see a bit of rust there on the bottom of my second-hand door. Yes, it's second-hand, yes it needs a bit of work, but the skin on it is quite good, easily repairable. And just like that, with a little pull of the sill, it should just peel off now. It's rotten, isn't it? But it's nowhere near as bad as the other side though. The bottom lip of the other sill, the original bit, is actually still intact on this side. So I'll give it a good scrape off. Get that line on there. Obviously this is the offside, so it's furthest away from the gutter where all the salt and all the crap of the road goes. So you do expect these sides to be generally in better condition. I wasn't sure if that would be the case because of the amount of filler in this back wing that we talked about before. But yeah, that's actually in really good nick. Obviously it is rusty, it's going to need some repairs. But yeah, looking at this, there's definitely been some evidence of patching and welding on the other side. That's probably where there's a little hole in the floor pan, it's been patched to the inner sill. It's also looking very thick over here. I don't think that's right because if, as I say on the last video, I don't know if anyone else has worked on a Stag before, but on the video on the other side, the floor fan came underneath. Now if that has to stay, then I don't know how we're going to do that. It does appear to be some sort of patch, especially if you're looking at this side over here, with like the sort of delamination sort of effect there. But yeah, I think I'll have to wait till the floors are out to work that one out. But yeah, definitely better than the other side. Again, on this side the floors aren't in great shape at all. Massive hole in the centre, massive hole in that corner, literally like Swiss cheese. In most of it, it just pushes through. Now, there has been a bit of more welding on this side. On the other side, there wasn't any welding at all, but you can see quite a number of patches going in here, there and everywhere, as we could see on the other side. Anyway, I'm just going to ignore them for now, all those stupid little patches. I'm just going to zip the floors out best I can, and I can sort of stand in there, make it a hell of a lot easier the next step. And so I started with the angle grinder, putting like a starting slit in, then finishing off with the reciprocating saw. Right, and that should be the back section pretty much out. I should be able to just jump on it, and then safety reasons, don't try this at home. Oh, there we go. Oh my god. Then the floor pan that's been patched can just pop out then we can have a good look at it. Right. And there we can see the patch repair that was put in. Originally, when I looked back at the footage, I did think that was a proper panel that's been used, but there's no grooving in it, so I'm guessing it's just a big patch out of metal. Saying that, it's formed quite well. Who knows? But it's out anyway. The half floor, obviously, I'm going to have to save that mount. Yeah, that's actually a really bad repair. If you want to look at that there, this new bit of floor has just been put right over the top of the old one. So you actually got the seat mount, the original floor that's obviously rusted away, and then you've got the patch straight over the top of it, and not even bothered to cut it out. That is pure laziness. Pure laziness like that. But yeah, what would you actually prefer in a classic car, you know? Would you prefer to have an original car that's unmolested but has this little hidden repairs like this? Or would you rather have one like mine that was once very rusty but has had every single panel on it changed? Comment down below. Because yeah, it's quite interesting really, like that front end that I got there, that was taken off a one owner 20,000 mile original mile car off a guy called Fred. When he sold me the panel, he bought the car as a nice one owner car, and yeah, it had that many patches and that much fiberglass around it, it was just ruined, you know. So at the end of the day, with a classic car, unless you've got a well documented restoration, you really don't know what you're buying. If we're looking here, much like the other side, we're all out. Obviously I've not undone the anti-vibration strap for the rear subframe mount yet, so I've not got around to it yet. Video I wanted to get the floors out, so then we're all back to good starting metal. Right, let's get that front section out anyway. Now I can stand in the floor, it's far easier to get this end bit chopped out. Obviously we saw the front outrigger's completely shot, so I'm cutting that out with the floor pan in one go without even inspecting it. Right, and here's the other bit of floor out. Like we said, it's absolute Swiss cheese. There's no way you'd be patching that. As soon as you put your welder to it, or even tried to clean it up, the whole thing would be so thin it wouldn't even be weldable. Taking the outrigger off with that as well at the front. I've left the other one in because that's going to need a little bit more measuring with them. But that one, I know from last time, you can just slot on from where I cut it. Let's have a good look in there now. So yeah, just like I said, I've left a little bit on there, just 5mm, so the joggled edge can sit in nicely. Just on the outrigger there. With the new floor pan that's going to go in, if I remember on the other side, I had a real problem with this chassis like, or the original one here that's going to stay in. They don't line up with the aftermarket floor pans properly. Because this inner bit here is original and it's actually nice and solid from the looks of it, I'm going to give it a good wire brush. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug weld onto the inner edge of this with my floor pan so I can get it square, and then I will be a lot more happy with it then. But yeah, overall not too bad. Obviously it's a little bit hard on the other side, having pedals there in the way. But yeah, just need to do a bit of tidying up now, sorting out the inner sill, and yeah, that's about it. So yeah, join me next time where I should have most of this tidied up, and then we can start getting the bits all back in and all back together. Obviously I'm going to have to take this rear subframe mount out and the anti-vibration strap, but I'm hoping that shouldn't be too bad. At the end of the day I've got my little heat tool, so if the bolts are seized, which probably are, I can get those off nice and easily. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up button, press that subscribe button, and we'll see you next time.